How's it going, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. What's up, Spencer? How are you? Alright, so let's see what we gotta do. What's up, Yes? How are you? Good evening to you, sir. Alright, so it's weird, I hit stream and then it wouldn't like come up for some reason. I don't know what happened, but sorry about that. Another Monday, right? Another Monday, SPY being weird, right? SPY's just been chopping around, hasn't it? And then got some interesting stuff going on with a couple stocks, like they ran 30% today. Pretty crazy. I know Demon was all over this one early, and I was looking at this, and let's see. Yeah, a lot of all-around red today. Yeah, the market decided to take a little detour this afternoon and drop back down. I mean, they're just literally chopping it around, I think they're just burning premiums. Like whoever's, when people get too bullish, they pull it back, and when people get too bearish, they're dropping, they're pumping it up. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so we need to pull up a couple things so we can kind of look at it, right? Yo, what's up, Hustle? Been a while, man. How you doing? Everyone good? How's Cali treating you? We were talking about going out there, my family and I, but it's super expensive before the kids go to, I was looking at prices. Basically, like, as soon as, school starts again, prices drop. But, of course, I've got a kid that's in school now, so, not going to work. My wife's like, yeah, we're not taking our kid out of school for a week because you want to go. I'm like, all right. But probably trying to get out there at some point. My grandma, she lived in Long Beach for a long time, but my aunt and uncle, my uncle used to work for Northrop Grumman as an engineer, and so he bought a house in Huntington. That was their retirement home, and so that's where they moved my grandma in there. And they sold her home in Long Beach, and they moved her down into that one, which has been nice because, All right, so let's take a look at. So this is pretty crazy. Did you guys see how much this, you see this volume? 790 million shares traded, roughly. That's crazy. What? Straight up, that's insane. Aterian did 1.9. VRM did So any expectations for the annual Stockholm meeting? No, I mean, so it's all dependent on what they're, none of us know what they're going to reveal. To me, I just need to see the numbers because basically I look at it from a fundamental standpoint at this point. There's high short interest, which is good and great, but at the same time, it doesn't, I don't care how it goes up. Aterian at this point is undervalued, so therefore for me, I'm good with it however it goes up, whether it's, because small caps are getting rotated into and, they start pumping up some of these small caps, or, if it squeezes, I don't care how it goes up. For me, you're going to make money if you've lowered your average enough, Like, that's what I'm trying to do, is get my average, as close to where we are as possible. So every time it's been dipping down, I've been buying in, more. So, every time it dipped down to 210, I've been adding more. It's basically anything under like 240 right now, I've just been buying when I have money. Because I think, the lower I can get my cost average, the more, I'll be profitable much sooner. And for me, I'm looking at it like, okay, so I was, talking to DZ the other night, and we were, discussing basically like, at this point right now, there's going to be a rotation. Like, the way things typically work is small caps are the first to get hit. And we've been obviously getting hit. Like, small caps looked awful for a long time. Then you also had mid caps were pretty much beat down, and then all the money was flowing into the large caps, right? Because they were the ones that were quote unquote the safest, right? But they got blown up really, really big into a bubble. So when you're trading like 20 times earnings, or like 30 times earnings, or those are not like sustainable numbers. That's a bubble. So what happens then is that once the large caps go down, where do you put your money? Well, you put it into the thing that was the most beat up, and the thing that's been most beat up is the small caps. So if you kind of take a look at like IWM, IWM's just been beat down for a while. Like, if you just kind of look, like, for the last year, it's just been blah, blah, blah. So let me just look at the 1 year. Yeah, so like IWM's like down 23% year to date, about 20% down for over the last year. So I mean, it wouldn't shock me to see small caps getting rotated into as one of the first early signs, because that's what they do. Like, you're not going to keep money in cash. Some people will for a short period of time, but like with inflation running as hot as it is, cash is not probably the best place to hold in some places. So for most of these guys who have been investing in large caps, what they do is they'll rotate into small caps because they can easily pump those things up. So Jason's got an average of 561. I mean, the only way to lower it is, that's the way I'm looking at it. Like that, but for me, like, I'm looking at this purely from, like, I don't care if it goes up over earnings. If I don't, on the contrary, if they share bad news, how low can it go? We've kind of talked about this. So DZ and I both saw something. So he had on his TA the possibility that it could go down to, I think it was 187 or something like that, was like where he thought like that would be like the absolute lowest they could push it. And interestingly enough, that's where at the current time, if you took out all the fluff out of assets and like discounted the inventory, that's where you would be at on the stock based off the new share count. So like 180s is pretty much like you're trading at like current asset values at that point. So I think I came up with 186. So from here, it's not really that far away. So if they do push it down slightly into that range, that's when I would expect that it's completely, but we'll know more in August. So like August, when we get the next earnings, we'll have new numbers to go off of. So I can't tell you before then. I can just go off of what we have now, which is the lowest I could see this going would be like the 180s. And if they pushed it past that, then you're pushing it past current asset values. So yeah, I mean, you'd be pretty bold to keep shorting at current, like lower than current assets, unless they're completely out of like cash. So at this point right now, the last numbers we saw, I think they had like 44 million in cash. So we'll see how much they use during that time. They also do have a line of credit though, because now I'll write investor relations a letter, but not like anything we're going to say is going to change how they're going to run the company, but the company's owned by retail, and like they've diluted a good amount. Some by chance, but like, would you expect shorts to cover at that point? Yeah, I mean, there's no money to be made if the Aterian's still around, like, and it will be because they have no intentions of. It's not like they have like 500 million shares outstanding and they have no money and they can't raise any more money. So in this case, like, Aterian still has a pretty small float and a pretty small shares outstanding. Like, anything under 100 million shares is pretty small. It's not like 8 million, but at the same time, like, you're still under, like, you'll be around like 72 or 75, I think, million. So like, you're still under 100 million shares. Like, if you kind of take a look at some of the ones that came across before, like, do you know what? Let me just pull this up for you guys. Vortex. All right, so let's take a look at the guys that moved. Yeah, so like, for example, is it pronounced XELA? But they've got 441 million shares outstanding. Like, that's a large amount, right? If you start going back and looking at, like, was it these guys? This was the old Prague. They had like 184 million. You look at like BBIG, they have like 233 million shares outstanding. You go to Aterian, and they're still at 67 million or 68 million shares outstanding. So like, it's still not that big of a, like, you know, float or shares outstanding. I mean, to be honest, like, this is where it's been consolidating, and every time it runs down to these levels, eventually it pops back up. I mean, you can look, like, draw a line across basically in this area, bounced off there, ran up. Here, ran up, and then we'll probably run up again. Because they need to basically yo-yo this thing. Because, like, shorting from 2 to, like, 1 is only, like, $1 that they can make off of this. If they let it run up, which is easy, you just allow retail shares to hit and you don't short during that time, or you just keep it under control, you basically allow it to go up to this level and then they can re-short it back down. But, like, you know, for anyone that, you know, is looking for, like, exits or something like that, that's what I'd be looking for if you were, like, planning on this. Like, you know, for me, I bought the company because I think it's going to be a long-term investment, and that's what I've pretty much done with most of that stuff. AMC is dead. SI dropped from 217 from 24. We're at $16. At this rate, MOS is 25. Such a BS pump. Yeah, so AMC is an interesting one because AMC has the brute force, but they also have a ton of shares outstanding, right? So they've diluted the stock a ton. So you start going through, and they still have, like, you know, their balance sheet's not, like, amazing. It's pretty weak at this point still. Like, if I was going to be looking at the two of them, I still think AMC can run, because I think, from what I remember, if we look at, like, holdings, who are the biggest holders of AMC? Isn't it, let's see, shares held. So Vanguard's got a huge amount, BlackRock, State Street, Goldman Sachs. I mean, you've got smart money in there. Maybe they're just, you know, loaning out shares because they know they can make instant money off, you know, apes. But at the same time, I mean, you look at this, it's like there's a decent amount of smart money in this thing. Yeah. So, like, will they let it go? I don't know. Like, I think they'll just allow it to just get back on its feet. And then from there, they'll, you know. But I don't think it's a short play anymore so much as it's a recovery play at this, you know, this time. Let's look at the short interest. Yeah, it's down to 17.94. And they returned a good amount, didn't they? As of yesterday, they returned 4 million shares. Is that right? And 7 million on Friday. And they only borrowed. Or is that the difference between the two? Let's take a look. I don't like how Ortex did this. I'm not a fan. But yeah, between the two of them, I think GameStop's got a better chance of actually, moving, parabolically. Just because the balance sheet's better. Like if you look at GameStop, they have much less of debt. So. I expect Aterian, honestly, if they get the shipping under control, like they would have been profitable last year if they had gotten, like, if they'd stayed normal as far as like the shipping. They actually would have been profitable for the first time in their history last year. Now, looking at things now, prices are somewhat coming down, but you're also going against a weaker consumer. So, like, it could be maybe a couple. Like, so what I would expect is this. I expect them to pump up on some news or some excuse, or maybe no excuse at all. They'll just run for no reason like they did before because they need to short it back down when it's, a little bit higher up. For me, I'm thinking this. If they can get the shipping under control and they can kind of figure out their, like, they're still figuring it. They're still a newer company. So, like, if they maintain this, they're going to have less competition and they're going to have, I would say, in the next 2 to 4 years, I would expect them to be profitable and then start really, adding value to themselves. But, a lot of this is going to come with, this doesn't have to be supported by retail. Once they kind of turn the corner, institutions will buy back into this thing. So I'm not super concerned about that. Like, this is a stock, I mean, you saw the run here. You've seen these massive runs on the stock that it's manipulated. It is what it is. Straight talk with AMC Phil. People bank on billions of synthetics. GME was a good play, but the split's going to kill it. I actually disagree with you, Phil, on that one. I think GME will become more affordable, so more retail will probably end up buying it. Typically what you see, especially with some sort of like meme stocks, if they're lower the prices, the more people buy them. And at this point right now, I think GameStop is starting to... Here's the dangerous thing for the shorts, right? The biggest thing that they've got going against them is, what if they actually start making money off of the NFT marketplace / Web3 gaming, becoming this place where people can buy and sell loot, like all these different things. But if they're the marketplace that, is underlying all these different things, if they actually start making money on that, like even if they got a percentage of OpenSea's business, you're talking about millions of dollars that are going to start coming through on a new revenue stream. That's like the worst case scenario for a short thesis, because your thesis was they have nothing going forward that's going to earn them money, so they'll just slowly die. Well, all of a sudden, if they create something new and they end up actually being able to make money off it, that's like the worst possible scenario for shorts. Because you're right, like if this thing was NFTs are dead, glorified money laundering, fad is over. Once again, I think you're talking about something different. I think you're talking about NFTs as artwork and like JPEGs and GIFs. I think NFTs are actually going to be around because they're going to find a different thing. They're going to basically start using NFTs to basically... They're going to use blockchain to verify ownership. And I think that's where the money is. And so, yeah, I don't think NFTs in its form right now is where it's at. I think NFTs in the future will be locked into different things. So, what do you think Adam Aaron's pounce is? Honestly, I have no idea what he's got up his sleeve. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big Adam Aaron fan. I think, honestly, AMC would have actually squeezed if he had not killed it. And he did it probably because he was told not to, or his buddies went, hey, dude, come on. You can raise some money, get yourself out of trouble, your company out of trouble. But he could have let it go a little bit further. He literally sold into the squeeze. So, and he didn't just do it. He made sure that they were able to cover a lot. So, yeah. But anyway, I think his pounce might be, something cheesy, like something about what their investment in, was HYMC, or, honestly, the smartest thing they could do is just start serving alcohol in AMCs. That's where your money is. That's where restaurants' money is. Allow people to drink inside your movie theater. Like, honestly, you'd make a ton of money. Movies might be fun. The problem is people get rowdy when they're not drinking, but it also makes you a lot of money. Like the same thing with stadiums, and if I was actually in charge of AMC, I would have brought back alcohol. I'd allow UFC fights to be shown in there, like they were talking about, streaming, and you can pay for a ticket, and then you can drink in there, and you can make a bunch of money. So AMC sells booze already, not where I live. Maybe it's state by state. Let me see. AMC sells alcohol. Huh. I guess only certain locations do it. Yeah, there's only certain locations that actually do that. But yeah, none of them are near me. The problem is drinking in theater is a liability for drinking and driving. Yeah, that's true. That's the downside. The same thing with bars, though. They do. Got hammered there last weekend. Yeah, I think it's hit or miss. It's just whether or not they are allowed to or not. But yeah, I'm just looking through. I don't see anything in my area that does it, but there you go. I see a lot of the ones in the South do. All right. I'm late to the party, so how's everyone doing? What's up, Jerry? How are you? Okay. But yeah, so I think what we're talking about basically, though, is for me, GameStop's balance sheet's better. So do you think AMC will reach new highs? No, I don't. I think at this point right now, AMC has diluted quite a bit. You have to remember the float was different when they ran to 70. The shares outstanding was different. So therefore, now you have more shares, so to run that high again, because if you ran right now you're already at a $11 billion market cap, right? So if, let's say AMC was to run to 70 again, right? So here, I'll bring the calculator over so you can see it. So if AMC was able to run to 70 again, right, with, let me pull up AMC, sorry. AMC. And calculator. All right, so at $70 again, times 516.82000, you'd be looking at a $36.1 billion market cap. Yeah, like a $36 billion market cap. That's pretty aggressive on a company that's already got $1 billion debt and not a ton of income. So there was less. I was going to say there was less, not a ton less, but there are. I'm just saying, you don't get a $36 billion, market cap evaluation based off of the numbers that they're at on their fundamentals. If you pull up their balance sheet on AMC, this does not justify a $36 billion evaluation. No. When you have negative shareholder value, it does not it doesn't make sense. If the short interest, if there are billions of synthetic shares, then yes, sure, it could run like that. But you have to make them close their billions of shares then, if that's true. If they really do have that many synthetics, then sure, it could run to infinity. Or however many shares they have right now hiding in whatever. But yeah, once again, we don't know. And so at this point right now, with a float that size, I don't know if you could ever get this thing to squeeze again like it did. There's just so many like loopholes, and like I could see them moving into the 30s again, 20s, 30s. But like I don't see 70 happen again. So if you've got a $50 or $60 cost basis on AMC and you've not averaged down, I don't know if you're ever going to get back up there unless it's 50 years in the future and, you know, AMC has done very, very well. But, yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. Like, I said this, and I know this was not popular at the time, but people asked me what I thought about GameStop and AMC. And I said, at best case scenario for AMC, they're just going to allow them to get back on the saddle and then become a normal company. And, you know, like they'll be probably like a, you know, $20 share company. That's kind of what's going on right now. They're trying to get back up to that level. They need to pay down they still have a lot of debt. Like if you look at their balance sheet, like they need to get more income coming in, and they're doing a good job. Like there's been some popular movies, people are going back to the theaters. That's all good. They're just really far behind the eight ball at this point right now. So like they need to recover and they need to get back on their money making ways. So, you know, I don't know what kind of inventions they can do to bring in more revenue, but that is what it is. But for GameStop, same thing with them. They need to figure out something to actually, you know, make money. Like, it's one thing. GameStop's got the better balance sheet of the two because they have much, much less debt. They basically went through and they paid off most of their debts when they, like, squeezed. And they basically raised $1 billion cash to make all these changes with. And they're still holding on to over $1 billion cash with much, much less debt. The problem, though, is you need to find something that's actually going to shut up the shorts and say, okay, well, we don't want to be short on this thing anymore. Like, I don't think anyone really wants to be short on either one of these things, but they're stuck now because it's just a battle of, like, will. Retail does not look like they're backing down, but once again, AMC should partner with GME and make arcades in the movie theaters. You're talking about fundamentals. None of this is fundamentals. There is fundamentals because you know how you're actually going to get a squeeze? The only way you're going to get a squeeze is if you get institutions start buying back in. And once they're invested, they actually want the stock to go up. If it's just retail versus the Wall Street, they're just going to cheat until retail quits. And that could be years in the making. What, like... Whoever's got them, like, if retail sticks around, yeah, eventually they'll probably make these companies go back up in value, especially if they support them. If they start like, think about this. AMC's getting much better sales because apes have straight up gone back to the movie theaters to help support them. And what's happened because of that is institutional ownership has increased on these things. Like, everyone keeps focusing only on, like, the short stuff. But, like, honestly, these things move because institutions want them to move. That's how the whole market works. The stock market does not... This is a sad realization, but, like, we don't have any control in the stock market. That's what I'm realizing. Like, we have very little control because our orders do not go and hit the lit exchanges. So unless billions of retail shares start hitting lit exchanges and all of a sudden they can't keep up with the the actual, like, traffic and shorting it back down, because think about this. When these things run, like Aterian went from trading 1.7, 1.8 million shares, and then what happens, right? All of a sudden, the next Monday, it traded like, what was it, 100 and... What was this? What was that? Let me pull it up. Let's do it here. All right. So when we went and got this volume here, we went from 2 million shares traded to 150 million in just basically the next trading day. Was it? No, it was like 100 and... Was it 145? Okay, 145, 141, something like that. Anyway, 140, right? Just like, look at that. Like, you went from nothing, like you can't even see the bar, to all of a sudden, just, what was that? 14 times the amount. I mean, that's crazy. But, they wanted to move it up. Do you guys know about here? Let me pull up. Need to add. What was it? Okay, hold on. There we go. Alright, so if we go here now, I should have added it there. Yeah. Alright. Let me zoom out a little bit. I need to do a little bit farther back. We'll go to the 4 hour maybe. Right? So we had no volume, all those things, right? We hit the spring, we ran up to 7, right? And they shorted back down, getting control because they got their hands on some of the, what were they called? Armistice capital shares and the high point shares. So you got some of those shares hitting the market there, and that allowed these things to go down, right? And look, I mean, this is the shake right here. I mean, you went down to literally 3 RSI, on the day or the 4 hour. Like, they were really just shaking the tree here, and that's when they're trying to get everyone out. And then they've just been basically lowering it here and then chopping it around. Every single time you hit these lows, you come back up and you consolidate, and then usually, if you look at the last time we did this on the stock, go back to... I guess I can't go back any further than that. But yeah. Let me go to the daily, and we can take a look there. Yeah. So we hit the low, and then we started going. Where's the low? It was around here. So earnings came out this day. You hit your low of 304 there, and then we ran to, I think, a total of 20 at that point. So do we know who bought in? So that's the problem. We don't. So we don't know what we'll see. We always get a snapshot of what happened after the fact. So 13 Fs get filed, and then you can see who exited and who entered positions. And then you can also sometimes see if they opened and closed in the same. So all right, hold on. What major updated items are you working or watching for the earnings? I'm just looking at the balance sheet at this point. So nothing's changing on the short side. I think it's slightly higher than it was last week, isn't it? If we go back to here. So here's Aterian, right? So short interest, we said 8.3 million. Previously, it was 7.8, so they shorted it again, right? So, I mean, it's higher. It went back over 25%. Your utilization, I know, was pinned for a long time. They had this weird, like, glitch thing, which it dropped for a day and then went right back to normal, and then they dropped the day and then they went back to normal. It's weird what this was. I don't know exactly what happened here, if that's just a weird fluke, because most of these just stayed up here. And there was nothing major that happened here, so I'm not quite sure. What's up with Ater stock sub? Why did they raise karma requirements? I don't know. You'd have to talk to No Photos about that. He basically is running the sub right now. I haven't really had time to be on Reddit the last couple of weeks, just because I'm dealing with some projects, and I think I should be done and wrapped up. I was supposed to be done last week, I thought midweek, and it got pushed back because the lawyers apparently didn't close out like some documents, and so they needed me to pull some other stuff. So, but I'm hoping that this week will be a little bit better for me to, like, maybe by the mid-end week, I should be able to be back in the office and then start writing stuff again. Let's see. But yeah, I want to see the balance sheet, because that's the most important thing. Like, this stock, as soon as it gets volume, well, you know how you get volume. If retail's not going to bring the volume, then institutions need to bring it. So institutions will buy based off of things recovering and being, an undervalued asset that they can go, okay, we can make some money on this. Once they start buying back in, that will also cause the stock to go up. So I don't care if it's a squeeze or if it's a recovery. Like, the stock, will go back up at some point. So if they rotate from large caps into small caps, all these things could easily run. If they, just reading, sorry. Okay, Escobar Cruz, sorry. GameStop NFT Marketplace is the first on board for an institution to buy on. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them doing that. I'm curious to see who buys in. Is what institutions are going to buy in because they see something going on with, GameStop. Do we know what the numbers are? Last time I saw, they were making. Let me see if I can pull it up on Reddit. Because I know some people were tracking on SuperSnock. If I remember correctly, they were basically seeing how much they were making off of the transactions. Because they're getting, I believe, like 2.5% off of the NFT marketplace. Okay. Here we go. I found it. Yeah. So GameStop NFT Marketplace launched on the 18th. It's now been, 7 days since the beta launch. And it's done 7.6 million in volume. Or, sorry. Yeah. I guess that's total dollars spent in the marketplace, which means that GameStop's fees would have been about 171 million based off of their 2.5% of every transaction. So, yeah. And it's only growing. So, like, this is just a soft launch, but, like, I think once they get some games on there, some other things, that's when it's going to get interesting. So, all right. But yeah, so that's I could see if this starts growing and they start making, like, if this, all of a sudden jumps up, to $100 million and they're making, $2 million in, just from hosting the marketplace, that's a good new revenue source. So that's something to be bullish about. Let's see. But as far as the Ater sub stats, I don't know why they did that. If you want to talk to them, you can write Node Photo yourself and just say, listen, curious the logic. My guess would be it's because they were having problems. What you guys don't see on the other side is, like, there's a ton of people that were constantly trolling and, what they with brand new accounts, and they have, no karma, and they're coming on and they're saying a bunch of stuff. You guys never see that because the auto mod catches it, but like literally there were like hundreds of those bots like hitting the sub up all at once. And so I think he raised the every time, like, there'd be a ton of FUD. So he was just like, all right, I'm just going to raise the requirements to post, because that way it takes away some of those bots. Unfortunately, some people don't have any karma. And so if you don't have enough karma, then you're not able to post. So if you're not like a really active like commenter or, posting stuff that gets likes, yeah, it does suck, because then it's like, well, I can't post anything on the sub that I want to post stuff on. I believe the other one, which is Ater or something, I think it's just Ater maybe. It was unmoderated for a while, but I just saw somebody took it over. It's funny because I actually requested that because I was going to create a new sub. And for whatever reason, they wouldn't let me have it. Yeah, this one. This one just, they just redid it. Somebody took over. It was, let's see, the Gator King. Don't know who that is, but I think he's the sole moderator of that. But Gator King apparently took over this thing, and he's now running a new sub where you can post whatever you want. So there you go. Yeah, low karma equals bots, shills, and FUD. Yep. So that'd be my guess why he raised the thing. So wouldn't Ater be worse? Much easier for them to manipulate? Yeah, I mean, that's why they're doing it. Like, Aterian's completely manipulated, and the reason why is because, well, I mean, it's cheap. Like, you can literally manipulate with a couple $1 million because no one else is buying it at this point or selling it. So, like, you can literally control the price wherever you want it to go. For like $2 million, you can just throw this thing wherever you want it. You can push it down. You can raise it up. Like, to really just let it run, all you'd have to do is, allow retail trades to actually hit, and then all you have to do is hit the ask a couple times, get retail to FOMO in, and then, just short it back down. That's typically what these guys do on like all these small caps is, they beat it up for a while and then they allow it to run up and down and up and down. Like that's Aterian's daily. I mean, you can see like they're making money on this thing. They do it with all these things. Like every one of these small caps you see, they just, absolutely crush. And then they allow them to do these little runs here and there. Like here's one, these spikes, and then they re-short it down, and then they'll let it come back up. And this, I could see BBIG eventually running too. Like, I mean, because it's for them, they need to short it back down, so it makes sense to let them run. Same with the Aterian. There's a bunch of these things that are. If the market tanks anymore, yeah, we could see lower, but like not. We're near the bottom. Like we're talking about like you're going past current asset values if you keep going any further. So like there's stuff fundamentally that just doesn't make sense as far as like at some point somebody's going to come in and go, well, that's completely ridiculous, and then that's usually when the shorts get their hand slapped by somebody that went long on them and squeeze them for $3-4 and then get out. That may have been what happened last time. Somebody was like, these guys were really greedy, and then they pushed the price up. So, all right, let's see. What's up, Vlad? What's up, Shadi? Do you think crypto is heading up or dead, Cat? I think crypto is a little bit more to go down. I was looking at Bitcoin at like 16, 17 to enter. Ethereum, same thing, maybe a little bit like 800. I don't know. Like, what's Ethereum at now? Yeah, but where's the price? It's about 1,000 now. So yeah, I could see it go down another like 20%, and then that might be the bottom for the crypto. Thompson King finally got my average down to 250 today. It's pretty good. You're 4 cents away from being profitable. I mean, people just stock up when it's really, really low. I mean, I can show you the option chains. People are going long on this stock. Like, you can say whatever you want. Like, I don't, they have a lot of short interest on something, which means that if they decide that they were going to close their short interest, right, they'd have a good amount of shares to buy back against retail, also trying to push up the price. But let me pull up Aterian real quick. All right, so here's the options chain. I'll blow it up for you guys. But like the thing I was most interested in was there's like pretty much no interest right now in the options. That's how you know this is gonna at some point run. Is because if you take a look at their options, there's a small amount of like open interest at like 250 for August 19th, and there's nothing. And there's nothing for October, really, and there's nothing for November. And then all of a sudden you get a little bit going into January. But where I'm seeing the most action right now is in the February 2023, January 2024. And people are just going, all right, you guys want to mess with the stock for a while? We'll just buy long leaps and just go from there. And people are buying deep in the money. Like they're buying like more 150s and 250s. And some people are starting to stack the 50-cent ones. So, yeah, at some point somebody's going to milk this thing and it's going to go up. And people are going to go, oh. But, like, that's what happens with all these things. They look at Aterian's history. I mean, just take a look at it. You see massive spikes and then massive drops. Spike, drop, spike, drop, spike, drop, spike, drop. Like, the stock runs up and down. Yeah, but, I mean, they just milk this thing whenever they need money. Like, let it run up, short it back down, they can make money. Like, for some people, they want off the roller coaster ride, that's fine. Like, but I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm not selling for a loss on this because I know if I wait long enough, I will be profitable on this. And the lower the price gets, the more I'm able to average down and get closer to that. So, why is it Ethereum frozen at 250? Ooh, easy. That's a really easy spot for them to basically hold it because it's like a perfect equilibrium. They basically, and it's, I think, if you look in the past, I drew this out. I think it's more like 245 or 246 or something like that. But every time it gets in this range, it kind of, this is like the midpoint. Maybe it's more like 240. But like, this is kind of like 242 might be the actual. But like, this is where it wants to hang out naturally right now. Like, shorts have pushed it down to this level. There's not enough buy pressure from retail to actually push the stock back up. Because what you will see is most people at this point are not profitable on this at all. Let me just pull up the options chain so you guys can see. But I do want to pull up the all chains, not just the near the money. But yeah, like there's not a ton of open interest. There's a little bit in August for like $5 and $7.50s because they're like 3 cents right now. So they're super cheap. And that's when earnings is too. But there's a small amount in October, higher up the chain. And then January is where it starts getting, like January 2023 is when people are starting to stack, which is 186 days away. Okay, so let me save that real fast and I'll bring it over for you guys to look at. Okay. So here's January, right? But you see there's a decent amount of open interest all the way up the chain for January. So that's January, and then 2024 has got a good amount of stuff being stacked as well. Now, the interesting thing is technically you can, buy and sell these whenever you want, but at the same time, you also could exercise too if you wanted to, which would add more pressure. But let's see, did that come through? There we go. All right, so this one was 2023, and this one's 2024. So if we zoom in a little bit, you'll see the open interest on the call side is getting up there. Like, it's not quite like 10,000 or anything like that, but we also have a much smaller float on Aterian. So, yeah, just interesting to see this starting to get stacked up for January 2023, and and these are pretty cheap now. Like, I mean, you can get literally a 150 call for like 145. Like, you can get. There's some down here. I tried to pick one up at a 2. But it didn't get filled. But like, you can get a 50-cent call for $200. That's 49 days away by tomorrow. So, what other stocks are low float? So there's a bunch. Like, I mean, so if you actually take a look at, let me do this. There are low float stocks. And we've kind of covered this before in a couple of the older videos, but when you start doing the math on them, I'll just show you. So something like DTC, they've got 63 million shares outstanding, right? The free float right now is at 14 million because most of them are locked up between insiders and all this stuff, right? So 14 million is a pretty low float. Then you also have ones like, what's the other one? What are low float stocks? I think HUSA. They're the oil company that got a run in the past, but if you look, their free float is only like 9 million shares. That's a tiny float, and oil is gonna go back up. So that's another one that could easily, see a nice move up. INDO, was that the other one? Oops. INDO had a small float too, I think, if I remember correctly. INDO Energy. Yeah, 2 million shares on that one. So, but yeah, like, that's a tiny float. There's tons of these stocks. I mean, you can literally just like throw a dart at small caps, and some of them are this small. What else? What are the ones? But yeah, like, I mean, and these are all ones that basically every once in a while somebody will, like a Will Eden will go around and tweet about some like small cap stock, and the thing will fly like 200% in a day. There's a couple of these things. All right, guys, think. We'll do it as a group activity. Give me some low float stocks. Oh, what was that one called? It was DT. It was DST something. Oh my God, what is it called? Hold on 1 second. Now it's going to bother me if I don't find it. Let's see if I can. All right. We'll find it. Give me a second. I'm going to find it. Come on. I got it. It's DTST. DTST. These guys are interesting. So, 4 million shares, 6.7 million shares outstanding, right? And if you look, this is when like randomly somebody will just tweet about them. They'll gap up, they'll have a bunch of volume, and they'll get shorted down again. But like, there's not really much short interest on this stock, right? It's just a small float, small like, yeah. The highest their short interest was like 14, and that was like a while back. That was in like 21. Probably around this time is my guess. Was it OLPX? What was the deal with this one? Doesn't have a small float, but it does. This was the one that actually has like, it looks like it was pretty, it was going to move. I have to like jog my memory. It's been a while since I did one of these. It's not all the stuff. Yeah, but that's not a low float one. Let's see. Rand. That's not low float either. That's Randstad. They're a big company. Yeah, that's right. Institutional ownership was high on them. Let's see. Holders. Huh. That's right. These guys were the ones that had a ton of. Are they insiders though? Now we got to go and. Now I got to figure it out. All right, hold on. All right, ticker is OLPX. Right. $10 billion market cap, large company. All right, so what were their shares outstanding? 648 million shares outstanding. All right, so that many shares outstanding. And then if we look up holders, they own. Did you guys already do all this research inside the Discord? I didn't see if you did. Let's see. 6489252 minus 499468771 minus 1260 minus 11. Where'd you come up with over 100%? Because I don't think this is going to add up to 100 million shares. They've had money for 3 years. No more dilution. Where'd you get 100% ownership, though? Like, I just, off the top, I don't think this is going to add up to another 100 million. That sounds like it's a mistake on Weeble's part. I mean, they probably are just a turnaround story anyway, but I'm just taking a look at. I mean, I started going through the largest shareholders, and I'm still at like 111 million, and we were getting into the like 1 million section. So I don't think it's going to add up to another 100 million. Is this one of those that has like the Class B shares too, or let's see. For anyone wondering, this is Dilution Tracker, which is a great resource. We do have a discount code if you're interested in it, but those guys over there do a good job of keeping this thing up to date. No, you don't think so. Okay, so I've got Weeble. Let's do it. All right, so OPLX, is that right? What was it? I've got both Fentel and Ortex. I bought them so I could help you guys out more and share stuff if I need it. OPX. Okay, so they're reporting shares outstanding 648, right? Yeah, I've got Fentel, Ortex, Morningstar. What else did I buy? Dilution Tracker. I think I have something else too that I pay for, like TradeView and something else. I need to probably consolidate down, but I'm just trying to. I basically, anyone that was coming in, I've just been using it for tools that I can help share with you guys. So, I think you guys saw I made like $50 from YouTube last month. So I paid for one of them. All right. Yeah, I maybe Dirty, did you put it into a spreadsheet or something? Can I take a look at it? If not, I'll pull the information tomorrow. I don't want to do it live, but if you want, I'll take a look at it and we can kind of figure out the float there. But check my DMs. Okay. I have to scroll up. I have too many groups going. All right. All right, we can open this. Here we go. So this is what he sent me. So institutions own 101%. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it does say that. I'm just wondering, though, where they're getting that information, because I'm not seeing that from me just pulling the shares outstanding and then taking out institutional ownership. I still have like 100 million shares in there. So that's from June. Yeah, it's July now, but they haven't updated the 13Fs, right? I mean, you could always look up 13Fs. Whale Wisdom has it, right? We should be able to watch. OLPX. Okay. Here we go. Shares outstanding. Then do they total it ever? Do you guys know? Because I could, very roundaboutly just take each one and add it up, but okay, we'll do this tomorrow in the Discord, but let's go ahead and I saw I missed a couple. All right, somebody asked about neon. Neon, let's take a look. Is this biotech or something? Let me check. Alright, so Neonode. They are electronic equipments and components. Small cap, based in Sweden. Okay. Let's take out a quick look at them. So. Alright. So they do have warrants. Or no, sorry, an ATM going right now. So at the moment, they have a registered ATM right there. And they've already started to use a small amount of it. You do have... These warrants are all expired. So those are fine. So right now, they've got about a year left based off the cash they've been burning, but they do have an ATM active right now. So they have the ability to push the stock down to raise some cash if they want to. So my guess would be on this stock, it's probably just going to chop around in this range, if not go slightly lower. Let me pull up the long term on them. Yeah, it kind of looks like you hit a spring there, you've moved up to 10, now it's kind of dragging back down. I mean, what's the short interest on it? All right. Okay. So, not a lot of short interest. It's just been going down on basically like sentiment, it looks like. I mean, it looks like every time it gets down into the twos and threes, it tends to... Is that two? No, that's four. Sorry, that's... What's the low here? So it looks like threes. Once it gets into the threes, it was 2%. Sorry, I saw a 2 in there. It was 2% of the short, the free float. Okay, yeah. So I mean, it looks like every time it dips down into like the high threes, low fours, it typically will pop back up. That's where you are now, right? You're about in the fours. So, but yeah, it's not like a squeeze candidate. It just looks like a stock that's been pushed down. And I don't know their fundamentals off the bat, but they did have a trade signal for Ortex to sell on June 7th, which was here. But the top of this thing, there was a sell signal, and then it's been kind of going down since then. I mean, you're clearly in a down channel. It may get down to these levels again before it breaks back up, or even here, it may retest the low or one of these before it breaks back up. But it's got to get out of the down channel for it to do anything. So at this point right now, that's what I see. Soft. Or shift. Sorry, shift. All right. So once again, this is another one of those, like, was this a SPAC or an IPO? Let's go back that far. But just falling knife, right? Bad market conditions, falling knife. Probably got completely undervalued down at this level. I mean, I can show you a ton of these that look. The chart looks exactly the same. Watch this. DTC. They just IPO'd last year. Look at this. Same exact chart almost. Look at that. Like, we'll go back to the other one. What was the other one? Shift. Look at that. Like, yeah, this looks like it was maybe a SPAC because it was $10 and then it shot up and then. But like, they do this to all these small caps, right? What they do is they sit there and they have them at 10 or wherever they IPO, and then they just completely crap on them and just like push them down. And then what I think they do is they acquire these things in case they survive. But like, yeah, I mean, you got buy ratings on this thing. Somebody said to buy it back in July 2nd. So that would be like right here-ish, right? It's around here maybe. It's June. So you got a buy signal there, and it's done pretty decently since then. But yeah, I have to see their. It'd take me a while to actually go to their fundamentals, but like. So they had a bad last year, just like glancing. This year, though, they've added some debt, so therefore that's why it's probably been beat down. Let's take a look at the shorts. Yeah, so 70%, so it's still pretty high. Let's take a look at the utilization. Yep, this is another one that basically since what, February? Is that right? Let's see. February 8th. Look at the same thing. So this is not a coincidence. Every one of these stocks looks almost the same. Like, check this out, right? You've got Shift. I don't know why it's not deleting. Vortex is acting funky. Hold on. That's weird. Vortex is all messed up. All right, let me try it over. Vortex. Okay, let's go back to that then. So you got Shift, right? So Shift. Looking at utilization and when it got locked at 100%. Guess what date? February 8th. Look at GME. Short interest. Utilization. Guess what date? February 7th, February 8th. 100%. February 8th. AMC. Short interest. Utilization. Locked at February 8th. I mean, do you guys... That's weird. 3 stocks have been heavily beat down and influenced, right? Look at Aterian. Even Aterian, I think ours was March 8th was the day that it hit, but you know, March 8th was ours, but February 8th for all those other ones. But like something, it's why that day, I don't know. Like, but they've all been pretty much locked in step with each other, and it's all on the. That's a great question. I've noticed that all of these stocks started either on February 8th or March 8th for a lot of these like small cap that are getting beat down, and I don't know why that is. It's obviously some sort of like there's a reason for it. I mean, there has to be. you don't have 3 different companies, 3 different industries. The only thing that binds them together are they're all retail favorites, and then they are stocks that people aren't supposed to buy and hold. Yeah. Same with Aterian. Like, there's just a bunch of these stocks that are all like this, where they're either 100% on the 8th of February or the 8th of March. And it's a weird phenomena. And there's got to be some sort of reason. I'm sure it has to do with like ETFs or something shady that somebody did. But, yeah. Yeah, we'll find out. Oh, Neon, I was just seeing it was showing a little float on stocks here. Yeah, I mean, look at FTDs, right? So, like, you have these spikes, right? And then they'll go back and they'll lower, and then you'll get them again. Like, you had spikes here, spikes here. Look at GameStop. FTDs are starting to rise again on GameStop. AMC. FTDs spiking. And what's that? 9.7 million shares failed to deliver. Let's see. Let's look at shifts FTDs. Once again, 8 or 6.17, right? Let's look at some of these stocks. I mean, these are all the ones that retail's been messing with, and I don't think it's a coincidence that every one of them looks pretty much the same. They all are starting to fail to deliver. They all have been locked at 100% utilization for a long time. Like, what are you saying, Greg? That's 1,000 times more than Amazon. What, the FTDs? Yeah. Pull it up. There's Amazon, right? Amazon shorts. Who's short Amazon? 1% shorted. And then look. Utilization, non-existent. FTDs. The spike was 700K FTDs. It's these small caps, man. These small caps. They're all getting beat up and just held back. And I mean, it's market manipulation. It is. Like, but they never get in trouble for it. What was it? T-Bolt? What was the other one? Did I spell it right? TBLT, right? Tough belt. What did they do today? You guys were all about them the other day. How'd they do today? Okay. April 27th. Didn't fit that one. Oh, February. Didn't fit that one, but yeah. Crayon is a private company. I guess I can't short green crayons. All right, day 4 of Olympic action is in the books from Beijing. There's been no shortage of standout stories. Newsy nuggets to devour. February 8th. All right. Yeah, so I mean, I can make him short though. Oh, crayons. Oh, crayons. I mean, anyone want to talk about the SPY? You can look at Rev. Got some of that the other day. Yeah, I mean, Rev's... They have an ATM that they can use, but at the same time, they haven't used it recently, so... It's died down as far as, like, volume, though, which is, part of the... They had hype here, they had hype here, they had some hype, but it was dying here, and then, every time retail... They all just jump to the next thing, and they never actually take advantage of... All right. Let's take a look at Rev and see what's going on with it. All right. So, they have the ability to offer. It's not like a ton. Where's my mouse? There it is. Okay. I lost it for a second. But they've got plenty of money. They do have this ATM they haven't touched yet. It's registered, but And they've got a shelf ready, which this is how you pull dilution from. You pull a dilution from a shelf, but they're not using any of it yet. So, but they do have a high amount of SI. I mean, if we went back to... I mean, they're still, let's see. So right now, 99.81% of the free float is shorted. That's a March 24th one. Yeah, so I mean, I could see them pop at some point. They got volume here, and then it's been, pretty much died down since then. But, I mean, they have 52 million shares outstanding, but the free float's only about 5 million. So, right now it looks like, if we go back to that, and we see that 5.68 million, according to the shares short, that would be over 100% of the float, which is what exchange reported data. So, yeah. I mean, Revlon really should be looked at, but the only problem is they do have that active ATM. So that's at any point they can do it. But look at the cost to borrow. I mean, cost to borrow is 500%, minimum of 3. Cost to borrow right here, 571. Yeah, I mean, Rev right now has the numbers. They could squeeze. It's just a matter of retail interest is not high on this. And I'd have to read through and double check to make sure there's nothing weird with their, chapter 11. But they should be climbing up the scoreboard on short stocks, I'm guessing. If we pulled up Fintel, I bet you they would be probably near the top because essentially their entire, number 2 on the short squeeze board. Number 2 on Gamma, number 2 on... Yeah, there you go. So number 2 on the short squeeze and number 2 on the Gamma squeeze board. They've already borrowed the shares. Look at those cost of borrows. Those are really high. And about half of the stuff's going... They shorted half the volume today. Their FTDs are spiking. Yeah. They're claiming about 70% of the float shorted. I think it's higher than that. But it all depends on what you have the free float at. But yeah. No, they're number 2, but it's fine. I mean, you're close enough. Right now, I guess number 1 is, let's see. Singing Machine. Whatever that is. But yeah, Rev is right there. Yeah, I mean, but I told you the one worry is they do have the ability to raise money, and unless you've gone through the filing on the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, you need to make sure that there's no hidden traps in there, because there could be a reason why somebody's willing to pay those fees, on the other side. So, but yeah, they're primed and ready. What's number 3? B-Hat. That's your buddy B-Hat. Yep. And they had warrants, right? Did they get to that warrant level? They were doing a good amount of volume, if I remember correctly. All right. Well, it's 11, so that's usually when I cut these off. But yeah, I was going to say, do you guys want to cover anything else, or are we good? $10 days over 320 to have the warrants happen. Oh, for B-Hat, yeah, that's what it was, right? But yeah, I think you made some money on that one, didn't you? You got in early, didn't you, on that one, Dirty? U.S. stocks rose in the broad-based rally. Small cap signaling and improving investor confidence in the growth outlook and monetary tightening. Yeah, but why all those small caps together? Like, they all hit 100% utilization the same exact day. Like, I was thinking more about, like, is it some sort of ETF basket that they're using to, like, short, because they're all getting, like, nailed at the same exact time, almost seemingly at the same exact rate. So that was just what I was thinking about. But yeah, we'll take a look. We can deep dive tomorrow. Maybe we can figure out why. We'll present it to the whole Discord and see if we can get out some people looking at it and look for some answers. Man, I am realizing that if you guys can smash a like, that'd be awesome. If you haven't already done it. If you've stuck around this long. And if you want to subscribe, that'd be cool too. All right. So, I think we're pretty much done here, unless you guys have any other things to cover. But appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. And if you want to talk about anything over Discord, that'd be awesome. I didn't drink any scotch tonight, and I also wasn't coughing too much, so that's good, right? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm just tired tonight. Low energy. I was gonna say my kid woke me up last night a couple times. The 2-year-old still isn't sleeping completely through the night. Usually wakes up around like 1:30, 2, and he wants a bottle. I'm like, dude, you're getting too big for that, but I also want to go back to sleep, so here it is. And then the almost 5-year-old came into my room, and it's funny. I woke up and I like reached over for my wife, and I got like that's not my wife. It's like a tiny body. I'm like, okay, so my daughter's in bed. I look, and my wife's nowhere in bed. And I like got up and looked around. She went to her room. She was like, okay. She's like, all right. So like left my daughter in the bed with me, and then went into my daughter's room and climbed into her bed and went back to sleep. I was like, okay. So, moon confirmed. No scotch, no cough. Ready for blast off. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I'll get some sleep tonight, and hopefully we can bang out some DD on some of these new stocks. And I'd like to actually take a look at a couple things. Tomorrow, 2K subscribers. Yeah, I've been sitting at like 1995 for like the last 2 weeks. Not exactly drawing a new crowd, which is fine, but we're almost there. I have right now 1998. So I think I was at 1997 last week. Picked up one subscriber. So close. So close. All right. Just reading through some DMs. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm going to try to actually be on and talking to you guys tomorrow on the Discord. I feel like I've been away from it for a while, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, and then maybe we can figure out that. I'm also working on building a stock screener, so hopefully that will help us catch some more things. All right. Sounds good, guys. Have a great evening.